And we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to pretend for a minute that it didn't work. That was what I was going for. Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome. Because normally I don't have to pretend. Welcome to episode 117 of the motherfucking podcast. This is the official podcast of the International Power Rock Combo, motherfucking Ruckus from Denver and Chicago, respectively.
Fuck
yeah. I'm Aaron Howell, and I'm here with my dude Gordo. It's really weird, Gordo. What's weird is that we still call this the motherfucking podcast, and yet you have been here at least 20 times more than all the guys in the band combined.
Well, yeah. I was just waiting for my moment to pitch, the
MF Granny
Tweed,
cast,
the MF Tweed cast,
So
this is my moment. Here we are. What do you think? If not,
episode
fucking out of
1. Episode 1.
I'm wearing my Granny Tweed shirt too. So
the Granny Ruckus
shit,
cast.
that's a classic right there.
It's one of my favorite shirts of all time.
Yeah,
I love it.
Reservoir Cats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me
That's
see
one
it.
of my favorites.
Show the camera again real quick. Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great one.
In all its glory.
Hey, before we get into the episode, I'm stoked about our guests today. We're going to talk about all manner of things, as we normally do, go down some rabbit holes and waste some of your valuable time that you'll never get back, the fives of you who enjoy our program on a weekly basis. Real quick, I want to give a shout-out to our patrons, the people without whom none of this would be possible. You guys are badasses. Our patrons, man, they make everything happen. They help our albums come out. They help Tony travel back and forth when we're actually able to do shows. They help the podcast run. They help the comic come out and the new music video that we're working on. They help us pay for marketing and everything else, man. I mean,
Does it pay for your hair too? Because it looks particularly good today.
Does it really?
I have to say, I'm looking at you from two different angles. I got you here on Skype. I'm looking at you directly face on at Skype, and then I'm looking at my monitor over here. It's like, oh, I can see that he got a haircut. It looks amazing.
I didn't get a haircut.
Oh.
I didn't get a haircut. It's just
and scene.
No, you know what it probably is Mondays are usually my day off. So, I usually don't shower on those days, and I kind of just roll in here all post-apocalypse, Aaron, but I actually showered for you today, Gordo. Like I wanted.
Thank you so much.
We took a week off. I had to show that my life was improving in some ways since the last time we saw each other. It's like, look how good I look now. Don't you see how good I look?
Happening. That's all that's happening is everybody's life is improving right now. That's all that's happening.
All that matters is making bread and improving your life. That's it.
Right.
And if you suffer in any way due to the state of the world, it's just because you're not hustling enough. It's just because you're not hungry enough, right?
Bring on feudalism. Let's go.
Hey, but seriously, shout out to our patrons for making this happen. We love you guys. Our patrons, they get to see everything that we make before anyone else does. They get to see all the stuff that goes directly to the band feed, and they get access to our private Discord server, which is up now. And as soon as I learn to use Discord, that is going to be a lot of fun. It's like Facebook, but less shitty.
It's more clicky, though.
Discord is?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I use it for some video game stuff, and, I play this stupid Star Wars game, and we're all coordinated together on Discord for that game, and I mean, we have all these headings for different kinds of fights we have to do, and it's crazy.
Dude, that's great. Clicky is what I'm going for. I'm trying to exclude as many people as possible. That's my goal. I want to have when I'm done with this, I want to have 5 people who know what's going on with the movements of our band from moment to moment. That's the ultimate.
Yeah.
So our patrons
reuse, recycle.
That's right. I like my echo chambers really confining, you know? I like my silos to only be able to hold a few kernels of corn. Yeah, our patrons, man, they make everything happen all in exchange for a small recurrent contribution every month that helps the world go round. We freaking love you guys. If you would like to become a patron and help us out, go to patreon.com/MFRuckus. Check it out. Our guests this week are a couple of guys who started out what was originally, I believe, just a Facebook group, but has since turned into just a general advocate for the local music scene, as well as they have a YouTube channel now and are producing original content and really just helping to promote people in the local scene, which is doing the Lord's work as far as I'm concerned. Please welcome to the program a couple of really swell fellas, Andy Hidahl and Phil Deeds, a.k.a. the Colorado Punk Rock Army. It's great to have you guys on. Thanks for coming and sitting and hanging out, man. I don't know if you guys have really done the show a lot, but this is less of a formal interview and more just hanging out and shooting the shit. But I do want to know about what you guys are up to. So very top of the discussion, I'm going to ask what I've been asking everybody who's come on the show lately, which is, how the fuck are you guys doing, man? I know that's a super loaded question, but how are you guys doing through everything?
We're surviving, I think, pretty well. You know, we've always got stuff to do. There's always, you know, the work never really ends, to be honest.
It's actually blown up ever since all this started. We're busier now in the last 3 months than we've been in the last 4 years.
So busier now how? Tell me about what you've been busy with.
Well, before I go into that, I want to give a shout out to Lala. She's our girl member. She's our
I've seen her in the video. Yeah, I've seen her in the video for sure.
I was gonna get her to come on, but this kind of came on short notice, and that's my fault for dropping the ball on that. But like I said, we're busy, so we write music reviews and help out bands with promo, and we're geared towards local bands, but we're also help out international bands, you know, U.S. throughout the world. And as COVID improves in other places, bands start doing stuff again, and they start sending us their albums or their, you know, let's say they've got a important live stream coming up, but we never stopped. The world stopped, but my inbox never slowed down at all.
Right. Well, especially because people are moving more towards doing online content now. I mean, we've kind of been necessarily forced to do it. And you guys are lucky in very much the same way that we're fortunate, which is we were getting on top of the live stream and web-based content game pretty early on, and becoming less and less reliant on live performances to drive the machine. So you guys were well ahead of all of this. We're working really hard on building your brand and kind of building your building the content that you guys are putting out. So tell me a little bit about what your inbox has been full of.
So mainly it's EPs, new releases that are coming out, new music videos. We gear towards lower labels too, so labels you've never heard of before.
Right. Like independent labels or
a lot of independents.
Garage labels that are literally, you know, people's garages.
Right. I have one of those.
Yeah, Gordo does have one of those.
We kind of base our page this way. If you have more than, you know, 7,000 likes on your Facebook page for your band, you know, you don't give a shit about us.
Gordo was like, you know, being in a garage band is fun and all, but I really want to try this garage label thing. That's where the real money...
I really want to get into the garage LLC business.
And speaking of that, we actually
work for Tough Shed.
Yeah.
we actually have released two albums that are on our wouldn't call them on our record label, but we've helped distribute them, and that is the Amazing Flying Dumbasses out of Denver.
AFD.
They're underage band
Nice.
AFD, and the second band we just released their first EP last week, and that is the Unindicted Co-Conspirators with
Cool.
a couple guys in that with Patrick with Fletcher Patrick Neely. I don't know if you guys know Fletcher. Great dude.
I've seen his name around. Yeah,
a long time ago. He used to be. He wasn't in 4. What was he in? I can't remember off the top of my head. Was he in 4? Anyhow.
Yeah.
He's kind of a little local legend. Same with Tony Stanvik. If you guys know Tony, but
right.
Yeah. So we're starting to release albums, and we're gently working our way into the distro side of things. So
very cool.
Oh,
so
the mysterious distro side.
Yeah. What a pain in the ass,
dude. So I have a question because I haven't seen this in a while. I haven't seen this in a while. Do people still show up to DIY shows on tours with like big cases of CDs and cassettes that they have traded and swapped out and created distros with bands on the road that they've met? Like, does that still go on? Because I remember I used to see that at like warehouse shows and stuff like that.
Not really that I can think of as far as bands that have come here. But I know down in Pueblo, I don't know if you guys know him. His name's Ricardo. Great dude down there. He runs a record label called Innocent Sinners.
Okay.
And Ricardo's the man. If you ask him to come up and do a show, he'll bring a big old thing of stickers, posters, shirts of bands from all over that he's just friends with, and he'll pass out their stuff.
Oh,
really
really?
cool.
That's really cool.
And we actually kind of do that too, because we get free stuff sent to us all the time from bands as a thank you for helping them out. And I go to shows that I book, and then I'm like, hey guys, you want this Doc Rotten sticker or whatever? Here, have this, have that, because my dresser is full of stuff that I can't possibly wear 100 buttons of The Last Real Hero. So I love those guys, but I got to get rid of them.
Yeah, not with that attitude, you can't. So I want to get a little idea of what kind of kicked all this off and what the original mission was for you guys, what the original vision was for it. Because the way I became aware of you guys was just your Facebook page started, and it seemed like the initial strategy was just share everything that the bands that you were following were putting out into the world. You guys would share so much of our content that we would put up, which I really appreciate, by the way. It means a lot.
That's all Andy.
That's all Andy. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what
that's awesome.
What the incepting thesis was for you guys, what the vision was that you guys were striving to accomplish.
Well, I mean, we always just wanted to get more people out to the shows. That's really what it boils down to. We've all been to those shows where there are like 10 people that show up, and the show is way better than the turnout. And we've always been of the opinion.
So you've been to a lot of our shows, is what you're saying.
Oh, you stole my line, dude. You stole my line.
Hey, you've been to a lot of Granny Tweed shows too, haven't you?
And Gordon Leadfoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, continue though. Keep talking. Tell me about this.
But over time, it just kind of we wanted to gain more followers. So and what people want really are memes. It's sad but true. If you make people laugh, they keep coming back. So it kind of turned.
We're sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You.
I got a delay going here in my headphones. Hang on 1 second here. Here we go. It should be a little bit better. Sorry. I remember in August 2016, I went to the Colorado Irish Festival to see a band called the Mahones, and they're from Canada. And I didn't really plan on going, but I just wanted to check out the bill just to see who was there, because it was supposed to be like 108 degrees that day. And so I was like, yeah, and I looked at the bill and I was like, holy crap, the Mahones are there. And I love those guys. And they get to come to Denver about once every 5 years. And so I figured, shit, I'm probably going to get there. It was at Clement Park, and I don't know if you know where the amphitheater is, but it's got that giant lawn that kind of precedes it. And I'm thinking, shit, we're going to be way up on the hill, not even close to the band. Won't be able to even see them. And my daughter and I got there, and I think John Elliott from Streets, him and I and maybe 10 other people were there to see him.
Really? In the amphitheater at Clement Park, which, by the way, I didn't know there was an amphitheater at Clement Park until you literally just told me. Like, where did they put it? Is it like over where the baseball diamond used to be, or like out in the open field where they used to have like the Silence the Violence festival and shit like that? Or where did they build an amphitheater?
It's kind of up past the library there over the hill.
Cool.
So if you were to go up the hill and then down, kind of down towards the lake right there, it's kind of like probably 1,000 feet from the lake, and then on top of that, the end of the hill right there.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's great. Like it's one of those. Clement Park is one of those little gems of Denver that people kind of take for granted for. I think it's a great place. I've seen a bunch of shows there. Most of the time, they're not county sanctioned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we used to when we were teenagers, we would get into some shit at Clement Park. Like that was kind of our spot to hang out. It's interesting, man. Like, yeah, that used to be that. Wow, that's really neat. That's really cool. You guys can't see it, but I've got up on the screen for the people watching the stream. I've got I put up some pictures of the amphitheater.
I've got it up on my secondary screen.
Oh, cool.
I'm actually watching myself watching it right now, actually, because there's a delay.
Oh,
it's
cool.
Super fucking weird, but I don't want to look at that anymore.
So you and John Elliott go to see the Mahones play at the Clement Park Amphitheater, and you guys are among 10 people there that are there to see the show at an amphitheater. Yeah. So what happens next?
So the Mahones, when they're in Europe, when they're in the East Coast, on average they draw between 500 to 1,000 fans.
Right.
That's an average show. And so I get there thinking, shit, I'm gonna miss them. I can't see them. Might be able to hear it, but I won't be able to get anywhere close to them. I get there, I walk right down the lawn, straight up to the stage, and I'm like, looking behind me, going, what happened here? So my personal thought is whoever was doing the promotions for the festival kind of dropped the ball or whatever. Maybe didn't realize that I need to promote this band so people will show up. There was another guy there, and him and I were both surprised. He was like, I thought there'd be a lot more people here. I don't know what's going on. That's when Andy and I really took up that conversation of, let's help the underdog get more people at least aware of their shows happening. Because our favorite thing is when somebody says, there's no good shows around Denver. Denver sucks. And I'm like, no, you just don't look for it.
I mean, dude, we are such a big music town. And the interesting thing is if you ask, like, there are some people, if you ask about the music scene in Denver, that say the exact opposite. On the upper tiers of the music business, this is one of the favorite places for bigger bands to stop. It didn't used to be that way.
That's true.
We owe a massive debt to like Barry Fay and Red Rocks and, Fayline Concerts and all the people who enticed like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin to coming here. But even in recent years, in the last 10 years, Red Rocks normally has a completely full schedule. Mission Ballroom is an amazing facility. And it always surprises me when you hear people in the local scene and more of the lower tier where we're at say that there's nothing going on when you have literally dozens of venues competing on any given night, ranging all the way.
Always something going on.
There's always something going on. Well, not now. In the before time, in the long ago, there was always something going on. But I expect that'll still continue. There will be commercial real estate. People will open bars and they will host live music again. I just don't understand. You mentioned, Phil, this band playing for 500 to 1,000 people in Europe, And that is something that we observed having been in Europe and being here, is that now granted we were able to secure tours with bigger bands who drew that kind of crowd, but you know, these bands were talking about coming to the United States, and we would have to say, nah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that for you guys. What do you think? I mean, because I have some theories about it, and I'm sure Gordo has some theories about it, but what do you guys hypothesize is the reason for such a discrepancy between the European market and the American market, especially in underground music?
Personally, I think just because we also do album reviews on our website, and depending on and given that we're geared mostly towards punk rock, we do a lot of rock and rockabilly, all kinds of different stuff too. But one thing I've noticed as far as Europe goes, like you've got a great example is Ramones core punk rock, which is music like the Ramones, the Queers,
right.
stuff like that. They're a very tight-knit group. And so let's say you have 100 Ramones core bands that are based in Berlin who know 20 bands that are based in England, who know 20 bands that are based in France. They're I don't know if it's their music community necessarily or their fans, but they all really they're very communal with each other and help each other out and share things.
There's a lot more structure to it. There's a lot
exactly.
more. Right.
Yeah.
And I've observed that the culture just seems to foster more support for the arts in general. Like when we were on tour,
absolutely.
we had multiple photojournalists and bloggers that were following the tour, you know,
Wow.
and they had super professional websites, and they had really nice equipment, and there seemed to be more opportunity for them, more opportunity and support for them to follow their dream, to follow their ambition. And there was, I don't know, there was a lot more built in terms of, like, there was catering everywhere we went. You know what I mean? Even when we were doing DIY, we did our first DIY tour of Europe, there was still catering and meals and lodging were considered part of the deal. You know what I mean? You know, even if we were working with some local Belgian promoter, that was lumped into it. That was just part of it, because culturally that's just kind of expected when you're dealing with independent musicians. Now, I have heard that the UK is as bad, if not worse, than the US. I have heard that they don't necessarily value that kind of artistic support system in the same way. I could be wrong. I've never been to the UK. I don't know. Someone can correct me if I've got that totally wrong. But I have heard that.
Something I've heard just from people here in this scene is that there's an oversaturation going on.
Yeah.
Like I hear that. I hear that a lot, and I don't know that I actually buy that.
I don't necessarily buy that argument either.
I really don't, like, because there's a lot of stuff going on. Usually, you know, there's a lot of shows. There's a lot of people playing, a lot of bands. And I get that you could get the impression that there's an oversaturation going on, but I don't really believe that, honestly.
I don't think the oversat. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just think that there's, you know, as many bands as there are, like not even as many bands as there are getting the opportunity to play that they need. You know what I mean? So that tells me that we're not really in an oversaturated, you know, market. So,
well, and
I don't know.
The oversaturation thing, I have long subscribed to that idea. The only thing that has got my tail in a knot on it and that I can't figure out is, you know, Germany is just as saturated. You know, like the GSA region of Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, like France, Spain, all of Western Europe, they have festivals going on all the time. They have shows going on all the time. You go walking down the street in any major market, any secondary or tertiary market in Europe, you're going to see posters all over the place. You're going to see clubs, Spielhalle, you're going to see show clubs all over the place putting on shows. And you're going to see people that go to see music 7 nights a week. In addition to the photojournalists that were following the tour, there were people that were fans that are just fans of rock and roll bands that just go, this looks like a great tour. We're going to follow all the shows of this tour. And it's not like they're following the Grateful Dead where, they do a different set every night, or, they play for 3 hours. It's like you're talking about bands, German rock and roll bands, that put on literally the same exact show every single night. Like they have it down, like, we have our 45 minutes and we know exactly when it starts and exactly when it begins, and we make the same jokes. Like, this is our spiel, this is our show. Like they have it down to a science, and there are still people that come and see those shows every single night. So again, to me, it goes back to a matter of culture, that out here, for some reason, we don't feel as motivated to go out and see live music. Does anybody have an idea why?
I think a lot of it
thing.
I think a lot of it is economic too. Europeans tend to have a lot more disposable income. I mean, like when I talk to my friend Jonas out in Sweden, he's always, hey, I'm going to go on a bike trip to Latvia.
Right.
They can take just about as much time off as they want. They make just about as much money as they need, and they can still, go out, do whatever they want, and still have a decent retirement and everything else, not have to worry. On top of that, I think public transportation in Europe is a big factor. The people.
The distance between places. That's something that was like that when we did tours. 8-hour drives on a DIY tour were unheard of. They're like, why would you guys drive in the van for 8 hours and then go play a show? You'll be exhausted. And we're like, dude, in the U.S., you just
That's
go.
how you have to do it.
You just go. You drive. Like I was like,
no choice.
Yeah, it's no choice.
14 hours to St. Louis.
Well, yeah, especially from Denver. It's like we're kind of, we're a major market. Make no mistake about it. But if you're going to drive to the next major market, it's 5 hours to Albuquerque. 8 hours to Salt Lake City. What is it? Lawrence, Kansas would probably be the next closest one.
Yeah.
Lawrence
or Kansas City.
Lawrence or Kansas City, and then literally nothing to the north, I mean,
maybe Cheyenne.
Dude, I've never played Cheyenne. Casper, Laramie. You know what I mean?
You go up and play Kearney, Nebraska. That's a good place
Kearney,
to play.
Nebraska. Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Scottsbluff, Nebraska is fun. That's only 4 hours away. But we have friends from Scottsbluff. You've met Mike and Mandy Gordo. Shout out to Mike and Mandy Schmidt from Scottsbluff. They will drive 4 hours just to see us play, because, we're Fort Collins, Denver are the closest major markets to them, So that's something that's not unheard of. So, geography, I'm sure, makes a difference. And to your point on economics, though, Andy, the one thing that I would get kind of hung up on is I don't know how. Germany's still a working class, country. They're ultra progressive, and they're a major economic power. But I don't know. They have probably better social systems in place than we do, but
that's exactly what it is.
But we also, they're taking a beating during the economic downturn as much as we are. Maybe not in the sense that I never once saw a homeless person the whole time I was in Germany. So I don't know. That maybe economics is correct. I'm kind of
feel like,
processing it out loud. Sorry.
I kind of feel like music as an outgrowth of the community is a real usual thing over there. And like it's not for some reason that's not really connected here. Like those two elements aren't connected, and maybe maybe it goes to the fact that people over there generally it's more of a communal existence. Like I don't know. Like here it's like someone was describing last week moving here from Europe and saying how it felt very lonely compared to places that he'd been in Europe, and and I could see that,
Right.
I could definitely
tend
see that.
to isolate themselves a little bit more. Plus, see the problem I have with the economics thing is I can say from anecdotal personal experience that what keeps me from going out to shows when they're going on. I mean, if one was going on right now, I'd fucking be there. Like, it isn't economic. When I was a teenager or in my 20s, I could still get into shows for free. That's the thing. There's so many places where I could get in for free because I've been in the scene in Denver forever, and I still don't go. I still don't feel motivated to go. And I don't think that that's a unique experience. I think that's a pretty common thing of motivating people in this country to get out and go to shows. Seems like a much bigger ask. But
that's what's great about what these guys do, because I feel like we're, the underground scene, as it were, or the punk rock scene, or whatever you want to call it, underground music existence, is kind of undervalued,
Right.
Like in general, and over here, like it just seems like it is in general, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think it has a lot to do with capitalism, and just the construct itself is like, well, we're not going to value this thing that doesn't have a lot of polish to it, or doesn't have a lot of commercial viability in the way that it's traditionally viewed. So we're just going to put this over here in the corner,
Germany's a capitalist country.
Hey, I know, and they produce the Scorpions, one of the best bands on the face of the planet, right?
Dude, little side note, I brought up this. So, little side note, I was talking to my buddy who over in Germany. Shout out to my boy Niels, and he used to work for Warner Brothers Germany, and he went on to work for one of the major talent buyer promotional companies, event companies out there in Germany. And we were shooting the shit after one of our shows, and we were kind of talking about Germany's importing of American, British, Japanese, and South American rock and roll bands. And he joked that there are no good bands that come from Germany. That was his joke. And I was like, what about the Scorpions? And this was seriously his answer. I go, what about the Scorpions? He goes, yeah, the Scorpions. Like, the Scorpions. Whatever. It's like, dude, the fucking Scorpions, man. So I don't know. Like,
by the way, the CIA did not write Wind of Change, just so you guys know. I think I got to the bottom of that.
Oh, speaking of the Scorpions, another thing about the Scorpions, one of the songs I've been learning, Gordo, is Dark Lady.
Wind of Change?
No, not Wind of Change.
Oh,
I've been learning Dark Lady off of In Trance, the Uli John Roth years, man. That's some...
Yeah.
That's some good shit. Anyway.
Well, generally, if you go further back in their catalog, it's like it gets really nice.
Yeah, it's
really
cool.
good.
I got to see Uli John Roth live, and it was, dude, he was he's a special kind of guitar player. He's really awesome. But anyway, speaking about, we talked about the feeling of loneliness that people have talked about experiencing when they come here compared to in Europe. Beer and shows are dirt cheap, and it's almost as if Europe commoditizes those things as being important. Like you think about commodities like coffee and tobacco and, pork belly for bacon and, and wheat and other such commodities. Like, I feel like in Europe, because it's such an essential part of the European diet, their cultural diet, it's like beer is a major commodity for Europe. Like, if you go to Wacken Open Air, this is another great example. Wacken Open Air has, it lasts for over a week, I'm fairly certain, and has literally hundreds of bands. And the beer demand is so high that they literally have trucks at a remote, distant location, and they dig a pipeline and they pipe beer into the beer stands. Like, that is so...
that is beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas here, people love to get drunk and punch each other and go to shows and go to festivals and whatnot. But it's like, you've got the truck unloads the kegs and leaves them there. And, you there's less demand for the beer. There's less demand for that particular commodity than there is over there. So I don't know. Anyway, we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on that, but I'm wondering what we can do, and especially since you guys are kind of on the front lines trying to work on this problem, what we can do to make live local music attractive such that it will get people out of their houses to go to shows.
Besides a pipeline of beer.
Besides a pipeline of beer.
Well, free beer is always there's always it's there's not really, I don't think, any specific determinant factor. I think a lot of it is just people want to get out of the house. They want to hear some live music. So you just have to tell them what music is there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just putting it in people's heads.
So a lot of what you guys were setting out to do before is you were just trying to increase the spread and the awareness of live local music, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we started out as, yeah.
Right. And so what came next after kind of just starting to try and do that and just helping let people know about shows going on, just boosting signal? What comes next after the memes? Because I remember the meme phase. I was paying attention in the meme phase, and we tried to jump on the meme phase a little bit. And
you were doing good on the meme phase. You were doing good.
I stopped doing it just because I didn't like looking at the analytics and seeing that the meme outperformed any of our original content by orders of magnitude. You know what I mean?
But the important thing is it brings new people to the page, and those new people are going to still see they're still going to see the original content.
Do you think they're going? Do you think they're going to continue to engage with that content once they're no longer, the channel's no longer providing memes? Like, is that something that you've seen maintain? Have you seen engagement grow from that?
Well, let me speak on this real quick, Andy.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
One of the things that I started doing was taking a meme and then having something, funny, whatever is in it, and then saying, well, since you're here looking at Punk Rock Crocs, check out, Crimson Riot or whatever.
Right.
And occasionally that'll draw in somebody, but we suffer with that too. We may have a meme. We actually had a meme reach 180,000 people in 1 week.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, that's amazing. But out of that 180,000 reach, we only attracted like 20 people as far as 20 likes to our page, or maybe 100. But the next time that we post, hey, check out this album by, whoever, we get 4 people that see it. That has a lot to do with the Facebook suppression or the algorithm.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the algorithms.
So you're not only are we fighting that, but I've always found if I can find a funny meme and attach a band to it, at least if it's something relatable, then that tends to help those bands. Because I don't know how many bands that we've run into or we've had a show with or we've gone to their show And they're like, we just want to say thank you. You brought in 2 people that bought a CD. And so from there on, after we went through the live shows showing, that's when we started our website, because we needed another avenue to share the live stuff that was going on, in addition to some of the amazing albums that you're not hearing because Facebook only wants to, show you the iHeartRadio contest over and over and over again.
And this is something I was thinking about on my way over here. And Gordo, I want to know if you've made the same observation, because Gordo and I have both dramatically altered our relationship with social media. And my original reasoning was based in ethics. Like, it was a logical and ethical decision, and it was just like, look, I don't feel comfortable filling my brain and diverting my attention from the things that are important for the type of dangerous, hateful, angry vitriol that was spilling out of Facebook every day. And I didn't like the fact that it rewarded people being disingenuous. And I had all these reasons. And Gordo, tell me if you've had the same experience. I was am still definitely addicted to my smartphone and to social media in some ways. I'm definitely addicted to novel experiences.
As was prescribed by the corporate overlords, yes.
No, I'm
You're
definitely
doing your job well.
I'm definitely addicted to the dopamine response of novel experience like any other human. But what has made it easy to maintain my relative abstinence, and I'll say relative abstinence because I still do some stuff, but I am not engaging in the way that I did before. What has made it easier is the simple fact, and this is going to be what I think kills the current social media giants and has them go the way of MySpace, is it stopped doing what I wanted it to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I ceased to get the experience from it that I had set out to get, and so I lost interest in it. And I think that if they can't figure out a way to get people to have their platform do what people like us want it to do, they're going to lose a lot more people. And that's going to set off a chain reaction where influencers and trendsetters no longer want to be on the platform because it's not fun for anybody anymore.
Yeah. I felt like, and I could see that it was diminishing returns, basically.
Right.
Like,
and it's hurtful. And it's hurtful. It hurts your fucking. You were talking before we got on about how you're kind of enveloped in the Alaska thoughts.
Right.
And it's like, of course you are, dude. If you look at the social media analytics and if you look at just the hard numbers, nothing can crush your dream more.
Yeah.
You sound, Aaron, you sound like me opening our website, looking at our website analytics. I'm like, I remember sending Andy a message and being like, "Hey, we hit 57 website views today." I mean,
yeah. Dude, 57.
The day prior to that, we hit 5.
Dude, if I saw 57 website views in a day, I would assume that it was a bot from China, because it usually is.
Oh, shit.
Dude, I've seen giant spikes in our analytics and been like, holy shit. And then I look at the report, and the report is like 67 views from not available. You know what I mean?
So,
like
Bitcoin farmers or, yeah.
We were actually with... before we switched over to WordPress, we were with Site Builder, and they had an exploit which allowed some guy to get into our website and embed a Bitcoin code. So basically, he was hijacking our web traffic to go over to Bitcoin. So I turn on our analytics. I'm checking them out one day, and we hit 1,300 views.
And you get all excited.
Amazing, so cool. And then I follow that trail, and it all goes back to one IP address that is basically a Bitcoin farmer.
Right.
And my dreams. I actually remember texting the group or messaging the group and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm pissed.
I remember that.
Wow.
But the thing is when that dopamine drops, especially for me, and I get there, especially after the whole COVID thing, I was actually considering thinking about shutting down CPRA, at least my end, because I was just like, what to do now? Like, there's no live shows, like, but then I'll get a message
now's
from
when people need us the most, because they need a way to
I
get
know.
their music
Right.
out there without live shows.
But I understand absolutely where you're coming from, and I'm glad you brought it up, because this is something that we talk about this show a lot. It comes up literally almost every single episode, is this like universal experience that people have when their art clashes with the world of the internet. You know, it's like when your art becomes content, and when you start to, you know, I don't know if you guys follow Finn McGinty, the punk rock. Oh my God, what is it? The punk rock NBA. I was like, holy fuck! I totally. But and he makes really great content. But he made one video that I saw where he was just basically like, you don't decide the value of your art, the market does. And that's a very sobering thing, and it's very useful, but it also just contributes to this.
It's also just half the story, because it's not that's not actually completely true. That's not accurate.
Right. It depends on the
it's in the eye of the beholder to a certain degree, and it's in the eyes of the markets, you know, to a certain degree.
Right. Like, we'll say that the market determines a certain type of value, but there are certain types of value that you get to decide. But the type of value that the market does decide is decided by the market and not you, is kind of what I've had to take from it. But, you know, that is just another data point that adds to just this looming, dark, just crippling presence of, you know, it just picks on the most insecure part of your brain.
Yep.
And anyone who's trying to do something in arts, especially in something underground and niche and specialized, like, you know, punk rock and metal and extreme music, that can just, dude, it's crushing. And I just wonder how many really great and talented people have been completely crushed out of existence because of their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify numbers. Gordo's talked me off of many a ledge, and I've talked him off of many a ledge, and Josh Finley has talked us both off of many a ledge.
That's for sure.
And
you know,
I need to talk to that guy right now.
Yeah.
If you're listening, hi, Josh.
Yeah. He checks in every once in a while. He's too busy to listen to our little show. He's like, I'm busy painting 4 murals at the same time. I can't listen to your little radio blab fest there.
Your little TV show.
They might be giant.
Your little TV show. Oh, you guys still doing the little TV show? That's great. I'm painting all the Chiba huts in the world. No, but I mean,
you do a good impression of him,
dude.
honestly.
He used to ask me to do impressions of him, man.
You guys, well, the thing is that you both do great impressions of each other. I mean, like, I've never actually, like, now that we're actually doing this on TV,
I've never heard him do an impression of me before.
Oh, dude, you guys, I was at Three Kings one night, and you guys were doing them back and forth. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
That's pretty good. That's
great.
pretty good. I wish I had that on film. Anyway,
me too.
But so I understand the feeling of like wanting to shut it all down. So what I want to ask you, Phil and Andy, is what prevents you? So what is it? What is it that helps you change course?
It just feels good.
It's honestly, it's the fans.
Yeah.
Like for me, I guess, and I don't mean just the fans, like, you know, as far as people who read the website, but I mean, as far as bands, if we'll get one comment on, let's say, some obscure punk band from Switzerland, and some American guy will be like, "Oh, I just bought their CD, thanks." I'm like, wow, somebody actually listens and pays attention to us.
That's really
this
cool.
is worth it for me.
Yeah.
It's just, and even when we go to a show, like especially people who move here as transplants, as we call them, they'll hit us up all the time and be like, hey, where can I find a show? I want to go to a show this weekend.
That's great that you guys have
really
positioned
cool
yourself to be something of an authority on that. That's really cool, and there is a need for it. And, one of the things, an event that happens, and I'm sure this has happened to Gordo too, an event that happens with musicians is the feeling of being excluded.
all the time.
Like if you don't get included in like Westward puts out an article that they're like, this is a list of all your friends' bands and not you that are you know what I mean?
Dude, if Westward included us in anything, I would flip my shit.
It blows my mind that they haven't written anything about you guys, dude. That Gordo, I tell you every week, you're fucking, especially the new album, fucking amazing. Granny Tweed is amazing. Like Gordon Leadfoot is amazing.
I appreciate it.
The stuff that you do with your studio, fucking amazing. I don't know. It's like we just kind of got grandfathered in because we knew people when we were kids, and when you could still reach the Westward. And we kept just getting handed off to the next person. You know what I mean?
Before it got bought out by the Village Voice.
Right. Well, I mean, even when it was, even Dave Herrera, when Dave Herrera was there, it was Village Voice. He left Westward and went on to work for Village Voice. It's been Village Voice for almost as long as we've worked with them. But I just don't understand how someone like Gordo, who's got such a great band, has been unable to break in. I mean, I assume you're sending them press releases and shit and following up and doing all the stuff you're supposed to go.
I've had straight up conversations with people and just nothing
falls off. I mean, dude, they did go through when Murphy left them. He told me that it was going through a changing of the guard, and they weren't really listening to the music writers as much anymore, or the contributors. It was just going a different direction, and it was focusing more on running the website of it, which I guess you have to, but that explains a lot of the, in my opinion, clickbaity stuff that they have been focusing on as of late.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's when you really have to go back to, well, why did I start doing this in the first place?
Right.
What really floats my boat? What is really getting me off on the creative side? And like, that's always what sustained me for, the millions of years I've been playing music, is just that fact alone. It's just like, yeah, I can create something else. I can do something else. I can do something new, or I can, that whole part of it, being able to create something. It's like, that, nobody can take that from you.
Right. Well, unless a global pandemic happens and you can't play shows anymore and fucking.
That's for sure.
Dude, and this is another thing too, is like, is even the paltry numbers that we had in terms of engagement online have diminished because everything has gone online. So now the already crowded marketplace has become completely jam-packed. People have a limited bandwidth, and, like we talked about earlier, people are leveraging reach. If you only got a glimpse in, like, if you were from another planet and all you knew about human beings, like, can you imagine what it would be like if all you knew about human beings came from social media, like came from the giants? Like,
sounds awful.
It sounds terrible. They're like, on second thought, we're not going to teach you about the warp accelerator because you guys are insane people.
We're just going to build a highway right through this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Straight Douglas Adams shit. Just do it. Just do it.
No, but so
build the bypass.
So I guess the point that I was trying to make is the fact that you guys are out there just trying to promote that is such a wonderful thing, because it is so easy to feel excluded and feel left out from the conversation, because there are so many people competing for the microphone, for the spotlight, and I mean, the writers and the people who are, the tastemakers, I mean, you can't blame them. They're going to reach for what's immediately around them, and they have someone that hands stuff to them. They have someone that presents them with material, and they go, yeah, okay, blah. Or this is the stuff that I like. They can't possibly pay attention to all of us that are out there. So when there's somebody like you guys who comes in and advocates for, the little guys who are feeling left out of the conversation, that's a huge deal, man. It means a lot. It's
absolutely,
it helps get rid of the feeling that nobody is paying attention. It's like, well, it's not nobody.
Yeah.
It's close.
It's the important people. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly the point I was about to make, is like, it's just like the people that watch this podcast or listen to it, or, or buy a record or whatever. It's like, it may be maybe a couple people, 3 people, 10 people, 15, whatever. But those people really want to engage with what you're doing. They're really interested in what you're doing. They really want to be around. They really want to see what you're doing.
Right. And when you see them in the real world, like when I run into somebody, when I run into somebody at a show,
counts. Exactly.
When I run into somebody at a show,
into your head,
yeah. When I run into someone at a show and they like reference a joke on the podcast, or you tell them about something and they're like, they kind of get surprised by your presumption that they don't know what you're talking about, because they're like, yeah, dude, I listen to your podcast. I know, like, I follow you guys. I know everything they're up to.
Yeah.
Why would you tell me that information like I don't have it? Dude, I hear everything that you say. It's like, oh my.
Yeah, that's like with the TV show. We don't know who's watching, or how many people, or where they are, or anything about it, really. They just
Andy, we do know. I just never tell you because I don't want to depress anybody. I stopped looking at that data a long time ago.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I mean,
I mean the live broadcasts, the ones that are coming from the station, the ones that are actually definitely locally watched, because that station only broadcasts in Denver city limits. It doesn't broadcast.
So tell me about this. I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me about this. What station?
Channel 56, but it's only on Comcast and only in Denver. It's also the same station as Channel 8. So it's like a government access. Well, still is, but
wait, you guys are doing Wayne's World?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah.
We're in season 2 right now.
So tell me about this, because wait, I think we've got some gaps to fill in. So after the meme phase, what comes after the meme phase? Then what is it that you guys start doing? Like
website.
The website.
That was the website with the album reviews and general promotion like that, just to try and get more direct information out there.
Okay. Then what happens after you guys? Like, how much are you guys writing? Like, how much is going on the website at this time? Like, what's your output looking like?
Usually we try to do at least one review a day or one news blurb a day.
Right.
Since COVID blew us up, I'm lucky if I get one out a week right now.
Right.
Trying to. We also all work day jobs too, so
right.
It's definitely volunteer work.
Yeah, you gotta.
And I'm learning a whole new video program for editing right now too. So
what are you learning?
I've been working on Filmora Pro.
Cool.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I decided to teach myself DaVinci Resolve, and it's really hard. It's really very hard.
With the station, we can request equipment and go and just pick it up, just take it home. But that's, kind of inconvenient at times,
Right.
So if I could have something on my own laptop, you know, and in this case, something that runs on Windows and not Mac, it makes life a lot easier.
Right. Okay, so what happens after the website? So what comes after the website?
Yeah, after the website, we started using the website and started putting bills that were coming on that we were really interested to go to, and we figured other people would be interested to go to. And then we started making friends with venues, bars, and they were like, "Hey, I want to book a show with you guys." And we're like, "All right, and then we got all these requests from bands on tour that were like, "Hey, we want to play Denver. We need a spot." Heck, they'll even ask us for books in Texas because we've made so many friends around the globe that you know, we can reach out and say, "Hey, anybody know of a bar that's open on Saturday in May in Texas?" You know?
Right.
Or the Bay Area.
So,
I've got connections in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, all over the place.
So we started booking shows, and after that,
the first one was No Loves.
Oh God,
that was a fun show.
Same night as Dropkick Murphys, wasn't that?
No, Streetlight Manifesto.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right across the street from frickin' Gothic too.
Oh, that's fun.
It was actually a hip hop bar.
It's always fun to have the show across the street from the show that everybody cares about.
Exactly.
There was a wedding party upstairs above the show.
Did they tap on the floor with the broom? Were they like, "Excuse me, could you guys keep it down a little bit?" Actually,
they came down and joined the show.
Oh,
the
cool.
DJ even came down and he was dancing and having a good time. It was awesome.
That's great. So so where do you guys go from there? What happens next? After you're making contacts, you're asking, you got clubs asking you to do stuff for them. You're helping people out with shows. What's going on next?
So after that, we got invited to do the show with Denver Community Media. Mm-hmm. They were looking to fill some time on the station and invited us to come on. The nice thing about us is we've got constant content coming in. So if I'm stretching for content, that means I haven't been doing my job.
So have you guys been doing?
It's in my inbox right now.
I mean, and we're both heavily influenced by Teletunes also way back in the day.
Yeah,
dude, I was just talking about Punk TV and Music Link and Teletunes and stuff on a previous episode, man. Like all that stuff, like Channel 12, right, or Channel 6. It was a PBS station. Yeah, Channel 12. Like I went to.
Rich Italiano was the producer for that. Paul Italiano's brother. Paul Italiano owns Fashion Nation.
Oh no! Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, totally. And Punk TV was originally Dexter Thornton.
Yeah.
And I went to DSA with him. Like we rode the school bus together. So I'd see him on Punk TV and be like, but you know, you have to pretend that you don't know him from the show. So you have to play it cool and be like, I don't know who you are. You know. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
So the nice thing about the TV show is it gave us a good avenue to get our content from not only the website but local stuff that we've got going on out into a broader spectrum. So we usually film the show or go live and then put it up on YouTube after that. Some days we go live from the studio whenever we want too. So that's kind of cool.
So you guys a lot of the stuff I saw that you do, it would be like a mix of the original stuff that you guys would film in the studio, like a lot of the commentary type of stuff, or things just like that you would film on your phone, and then it was a lot of like curated videos and other people's content that you had added in. So it was kind of like a variety show sort of thing. What was the response that what's been the response to that, and how far into it are you guys?
We're on season 3. Remember, Andy? We're on season 3, episode 3. That season's only 6 episodes long.
Because apparently, there was some kind of a goof up, and so season 2 was only like 1 episode, but so we're somewhere between season 2 and 3.
What about 13 episodes now?
We did 12 episodes in season 1, 13 in season 1, and we've done 3 so far this season.
So, what is the response been from the content that you guys have been putting out? in that time?
It's been fantastic. It really has. We've seen tons of comments, not only from the bands that we've posted on there, but a lot of new fans are like, "Oh man, that band from Russia that I've never heard of, they're really cool," and I'm gonna go check them out. Or a nice thing is too, one of my favorite bands, they only put out 2 or 3 albums before they split. They are called God, of course I forgot their name. I know the drummer is in Sniper 66. Hogtown Hooligans with it. Anyhow, I'm trying to Sal is the drummer, but anyhow, I reached out to them, and they broke up, but their Facebook page amassed like 15,000 fans around the world. They traveled, done a bunch of stuff, and I reached out to him, and I said, Sal, I know we've known each other for 3 or 4 years now. I want to put your video up on our show. Is that okay if we do it? And he's like, yeah, let me message somebody real quick, and I'll see if I can get permission. So about 2 weeks later, he's like, yeah, I got permission from our label, from the label's label, and from the label, because like 5 different people own the rights to that video.
Right.
And the cool thing is he did that for us. It wasn't like he just did that for like some journalist that reached out to him, but he actually did that for us. And for me, that was a huge step as far as in our progression as a serious media company. Not really a company so much, so to speak, but
that's kind of what we're growing towards.
And Sal knew that somebody in South Korea might get to see his video that they made in Ontario, Canada. So
right, and kind of what I've been noticing in terms of trying to like build an independent label or a band is our you're not even supposed to mention that you have a publicist, but our publicist, Groovy Newville, who I think you guys know.
Oh, yeah.
So Groovy, like, what I really like about his approach is he's got the email address for the bigger media outlets, but he also has the email address for every single one of the little guys. And it's like the approach is like, do everything. Try and get coverage on as many blogs, on as many podcasts as you possibly can. And so I think that's kind of the direction that the industry goes a lot. It's because you kind of have to, like, you're not necessarily going to be – not everyone can get on Pitchfork. Not everyone can get on, what is it, Consequence of Sound or whatever, or alternative press or whatever. Like, not everybody's going to be able to get on those things. So even people that are, higher tier bands, as far as we're concerned, are struggling to get coverage. And so they've got to turn to the little guys and get to as many of the little guys as possible. By the way, I have your, I put your website up on the screen, and now I've got your YouTube channel up on the screen here.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course, man. It's good looking page there, man. So what? They're like half hour.
It needs some work.
What? They're like half hour episodes then that you guys are doing?
Yeah. The season finale last season was 1 hour. That was a lot of work.
They range from half hour to hour, but if we're live, usually they're a little bit longer.
I must subscribe.
Oh yeah, shit! I gotta subscribe. I gotta subscribe, right now. Everybody.
Oh, and actually, Andy, did we have Gordo? Did Granny Tweet have a video?
Yeah, we have a couple that ironically, like, now that we're in lockdown, that's part of what I've been doing is trying to create video content for the band. So
right,
yeah, lots of homemade videos.
Yeah,
I know. On our TV show, we actually showed "We Don't Party."
Yeah,
right on.
That was on there, and I remember at the beginning we were like, "Hey, Andy, remember when we were in this video?"
Yeah, man, we got in trouble for that video shoot.
Shit.
Because we had a real show booked with Danny Sachs, and I can't remember what show it was that weekend, maybe, but suffice to say the show, or the short version of the story is the show that we were scheduled to play didn't go super well. And afterwards, when we're doing the post-mortem, which I have gone through with many a concert promoter, that usually starts like, dude, where the fuck is everybody? What happened? During that discussion with Danny Sachs, he did say something to the effect of, yeah, you know, maybe next time don't throw a free video shoot show at Three Kings the night before the actual show that you guys are supposed to be playing. And you might get more people in. And I'm like, you know, in my opinion, at the time, I was like, oh, dude, it was just a video shoot. It wasn't even like a real show. We played the same song over and over and over again, and we really only did a few to warm up, and yeah, it wasn't even the same thing at all. But in his mind,
don't blow your load on the video shoot, man.
Yeah,
everybody knows that.
Do the video shoot at the show. How about that? Oops. Sorry.
Well, you know, hindsight and everything.
Yeah. No, and I really do appreciate you guys throwing that on there. And I'm definitely hoping we can get the Acropolis Now video up there when it drops. Yeah. It's coming up here soon. I never heard back from you guys on we were gonna do a little something.
Yeah. So the whole Three Kings thing. So that's.
Oh, the Three Kings tribute. Yeah, that's what we were gonna do.
Yeah. So that's actually still going to happen.
Yeah, we're thinking we might actually turn that into a full documentary about pre and post COVID music. You know, the death of the music scene and the rebirth at the end.
Yeah.
Because a lot more venues have closed down since. Not that the other venues so much were as important to me. I know they were important to other people, but when I started out, I was ready to go. I had my script ready, and then other ones started falling like dominoes. And I was like, I'm going to hold on to this because we might see more. Hopefully not. But my script went from being, about 20 minutes long to being about an hour long now. So I'm still working on that.
You know, the effects of this time in history are, it's going to take. They're going to span decades.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, the fallout is going to span decades. We haven't even seen the full reach of the economic downturn. And, you know, as much as I hate to be doom and gloom, you know, I think we're going to see a lot more places go. At the same time, we're seeing people surviving. I went and saw Jim Norris over at Mutiny the other day. Shout out to Mutiny Information Cafe, friend of the show. I went and saw Jim, and Andy hitting the bong. I just happened to click over to that. You know, I went and saw Jim, and they seem to be thriving. And I just told him, I was like, it's amazing. You guys are still in it. And he's like, I don't know how, but just another month and we made it. Not only did we make it, but we're doing okay. And, you know, you see that I saw Maddie Clark from High Dive, and they're still in it. They're still hanging in there, man. And it's like, you know, I hope they continue to do that. And I hope that the people who really want to stay in it can manage to navigate their way through this week to week, month to month. But there's going to be casualties, man.
I got to give a shout out real quick to the Mutiny Booty Box that they do every month, because that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Tell people about the Mutiny Booty Box, because I'm not entirely familiar with it.
It's this thing that they started doing where they have this, like, there's just like this box. It's like $35 a month or something, and you get stickers, you get a comic book, you get like a local band's music, you get what else? I think maybe even get like a moon pie.
Man.
And you get a bunch of stuff like in there. It's like there's a bunch of stuff in there. You should go to Mutiny, what is it? mutinyinfocafe.com or whatever and check it out. They're pretty cool.
Man,
I want to donate some of our music to one of their boxes, you know.
I wonder. I think I remember Jim saying something about putting one of our comics in a booty box, but man, if they haven't, I'm definitely going to drop them off some comics, and because we're getting ready to release a flexi single comic pack.
Like
that's coming right on.
Yeah, it's coming soon. I've got all the assets in hand. Dude, the only thing that I'm waiting on is the music video, and animated videos take a really long time. And
oh yeah, they do,
dude. So the Macy's going to be sending me over some more bits from the music video, though. For those of you who saw the Tony Lee guitar solo and want to see some more clips from the music video, that's going to be coming soon. So he's going to be sending me some more of that stuff. Patrons get to see it before anybody. So
hint, hint, wink, wink.
You know. It's like that Steve Albini podcast, Gordo. Like everything's just this whole podcast is just a support system for our fucking commercial.
Oh man, we don't want to get into that right now.
We totally could, because it's totally relevant to what we've been talking about. So just to bring you guys kind of up to speed, Gordo, can you tell these guys a little bit about the podcast episode that you sent over to me today, which I still have about 20 minutes left. But I'm going to finish it on the way home. Tell everybody about this podcast they should listen to.
Well, basically, I'm a big fan of longtime underground music industry curmudgeon Steve Albini. And he's just got, I don't know, he's got some of the best bands in punk rock too, as far as I'm concerned. Like Shellac is just, I bow at the altar of Shellac, but he's just got a different attitude about the like and subscribe culture. Right. That he kind of calls it, and trying to monetize everything in the internet realm, and everything being pushed through the lower intestine of the internet.
Kind of reeks of multi-level marketing a little bit, doesn't it?
Right, yeah, and it's just kind of like they were talking, because the podcast you were on, what's the name of the podcast?
Total Protonic Reversal.
Thank you. And that podcast, which is an awesome name, that podcast, he does it without any ads, and so it was kind of a good conversation between the two of them, because like they were talking about just the commercialization of music and the commoditization of podcasts and ideas and all of that stuff. And
episode 185, Steve Albini. So it's Conan. It's called
Not the Barbarian.
It's called Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal Radio Nope. Yeah. So it basically is. It's their criticism on like and subscribe culture, and the idea of how it diminishes a relationship to throw a deal in there. It's very anti-capitalist, but
it is. It's very much so. But they have some good points in there.
They have some excellent points, and it was something that really and it definitely got me thinking a lot. At the same time, like, Steve Albini is a successful businessman, and
indeed he is.
And there were moments where it seemed like he was putting on airs in the interview a little bit, but he was absolutely right about just how it cheapens an interaction to make everything into a transaction, essentially, especially when you're creating content. Like,
he was talking, my favorite part, I think, was when he was talking about how he had been in advertising himself, and how he had to put the Winston guy that was dying of AIDS, he had to put an ember on the end of his cigarette that wasn't lit, and that was a particularly I thought it was
gross
a particularly
example.
It was a very good example of just
wow.
The utter bullshit of marketing.
Wow.
And just like
they had to find a way to keep his cigarette lit in his mouth.
Because he was
at the viewing.
No. They were trying to generate all this material, because he was, he's basically, headed out the door, like, and this mortal coil, and they were trying to get as much content out of him before he died.
Right.
So like, and he wasn't smoking the cigarettes, so they had to put the embers, like they had to put it on his cigarette, so it looked like he was smoking a lit cigarette in the billboard ads.
Oof.
So if that doesn't give you a distaste for advertising and stuff like that,
well,
that's exactly what it is. It's
and I've made many attempts. You kind of get this idea, and you're trying to help the band succeed. And I'm sure you guys run into this with the channel and the website and YouTube and everything. Is it's like, all I want to do is travel the world and play music with my friends and make people happy. And I want to play awesome shows, and I want to see the smiling faces, and I want to have a show experience like, fortunately, the last one that we had before, the last run of shows that we had before everything got shut down. We were literally making coronavirus jokes on stage, when Ruckus played at Goosetown and with the trade-ins and Fast Eddie, and it was just an amazing thing. Like, I just want to have that experience as many times as I can before I die, right? But in order to do it, you have to be able to sustain it, and so you have to be able to generate revenue, and so you do the research to go, okay, how can I do enough at this game so that the game that I really want to play can happen and be sustainable? And it's just make as much content as possible. Everyone should have a podcast, and you should be Finn McGinty in a consultation I did with him as one of his patrons. He actually said he was like, you need to be posting on Instagram every single day. And I'm like,
I would also say though,
why?
Another important thing though is capitalization in the regards of merchandise. You put your logo on a mask these days, and you will sell them.
Right. Yep. Yeah, we were looking to get some masks made, but I also wonder if we've missed the boat on that, because there's free masks everywhere. No.
Make your masks for Christ's sake.
People are always going to want the masks that say what they want them to say. That advertise what they want them to advertise. People are going to always want to speak their mind, even when you can't see
when they can't
face.
speak their mind, when you can't see their lips move.
I'm thinking more of like the future. I'm thinking of like
Read the
20
mask.
years from now, when there's like literally 10 people left, they will be fighting over the vintage masks from the pandemic era.
Right.
And they'll be like, look, dude, it's like, I've got a real vintage White Snake t-shirt. Okay. And like, whatever it is that they want, or I've got, whatever it is, I don't know, the Winger widget,
Hey, Jay Party Lord,
like, look,
if you're watching the episode or
I've
you're listening in the background, let's get these fucking masks on, dude. I'm looking at you.
I've
Seriously.
got an original MF Ruckus mask. There it is. Boom.
Well, Jay Party
And
Lord and I were kicking around design ideas, and we just kind of didn't work on it for a couple of days. But I think we're definitely get some going. But dude, Andy, absolutely, the merch model's great, and that's the model that I prefer. But we're not playing shows.
That's why you have a good online store, even if it's just Teespring or something like that.
Right.
I mean,
at the same time, okay, so this is where I'm gonna push back on you a little bit. Is at the same time, we don't do a ton of online sales. We did do a push. We ran a promotional sale online, and I dropped the budget into it. It ended up the budget for the promotional campaign for our sale ended up being 50% of the gross. So, you know what I mean? So it ended up being a lot just to get that in front of people's heads. And we did sell some stuff, and we did do an episode and where we stuffed envelopes for people, and we were able to do some stuff with it. Guess what I did with it? I bought shipping supplies to be able to ship stuff from home when I sell stuff online.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I bought a printer. I
Yeah.
bought a scale. I knew that we were going to have to beef up our online business simply because we weren't going to be playing shows. But the fact of the matter is that people don't buy a shirt because they need a shirt. They buy the shirt or the record or the patch or the button. They spend money at your table because they want to commemorate the experience. And I think it is one of the challenges here. I'm not just going to bemoan how hard it is, but I'll just say the challenge that we need to overcome is figuring out a way to convince people to commemorate the online experience, which is a little harder to do, even though people love spending money online. You know, I have a habit of backing people on crowdfunding platforms. You know, I buy merch. I like to buy from. I just bought a shirt from Reed and Splattered Records, but not a ton, not as much as I would be if I was going to shows and seeing bands that I love. I spend a shitload at the merch table. I don't spend as much on merch just from like online viewing.
I wonder about the possibility of transferring technology over from what sports are doing like right now. Like if you watch an NBA game,
right?
They take like images of people that are watching on their computers. They're just using their webcams and putting these images in the seats. I wonder if people would pay for a picture of themselves rocking out at a show digitally. Like, here is you projected into the audience at Madison Square Gardens.
Right. See, now that's a great idea.
See, I can see the logic behind it. I just wonder if sports fans and music fans engage in the same way. And by the way, I've seen some of those videos of people up on the Jumbotron and whatnot, like watching from home. And I was telling the guys at work, I was like, this just has chat roulette written all over it, dude. Just like all of a sudden one of the seats is just going to be a guy just standing up, just jerking off, and it's just going to be in one of the seats in the middle of a game, and they're going to change over quickly and go, oh, shit.
Or somebody's going to go full GG with it and just start throwing shit at the camera.
Right. Right.
But you know what? But the thing about, I don't know. This is what was the point I was going to make earlier about like, advertising and Colorado Punk Rock Armory with the memes and stuff that you guys do. And you were talking about just like getting kind of in front of people and getting funny things in front of people and then like, engaging them through that, with whatever's going on, with whatever band or event that you're trying to get out there. Like we've always taken the viewpoint in our band of like, wow, if we have some really cool art for a show, then we can put that up. And it doesn't mean that we'll get a lot of people to the show because of that flyer. But if enough people see it often enough and they keep seeing the neat flyer with our name on it, they'll be like, oh, well, that's a band I recognize. That's a name I recognize. And maybe that'll generate some familiarity.
Repetition,
and next time, and yeah, the repetition part of it. And that's that's another wonderful part of
marketing.
The terrible art of advertising.
The
Josh's stuff is so eye-catching.
But it works.
It catches your attention and it holds it. He does some of the most amazing concert posters I've ever seen. Period, hands down.
I stopped looking at hanging up Josh Finley posters. Like when I started looking at promotion in a different frame of mind when I started working with Josh Finley as our designer, it became less about putting information about an event on there and more about proliferating pieces of art.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, in my experience, nothing works like putting up posters everywhere. Nothing works like putting up posters everywhere. It works better than putting money into Facebook ads. It works like there's just something about people when they're not distracted by a million things and they're out walking around and they happen to see an amazing poster or they happen to recognize your name and have heard a lot about you or saw you another time. We get better turnouts from massive poster campaigns than anything else. But when Josh was doing a lot of things for us, it became this idea of like, I'm hanging up this piece of art everywhere that just so happens to also advertise our show. And
Granny Tweed is just a side project for the proliferation of Joshua Finley's art. That's all we are. We're just a means to an end. That's all we are.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But with great music too.
Yeah. Really great.
Well, we
music.
try. We appreciate that.
So, guys, we're getting pretty close to 8 o'clock here. I wanted to kind of wind down a little bit, and I wanted to riff on, for the very end of this, I wanted to tell Gordo how I actually know the both of you individually. So
do it.
So first of all, I know Andy because Andy's dad was my Cub Scout master.
Yep.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
No joke. I mean, yeah, totally.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in Cub
Same
Scouts
time as
like
my little brother.
Yeah, your little brother and I were in the same grade. Like,
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. By the way, Andy, I didn't get to talk to you afterwards, but I was very, very sad to hear about your brother passing, man. Seriously. Like,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
He and I, I mean, of course we grew apart as kids do, but when we were in Scouts together, like, I adored your brother. Like, we were.
Well, and he always had a lot of respect for you too, and your music especially. I mean, he always liked you guys. I mean, you might not have talked a lot, but he had a lot of respect for you, and he liked your music.
I really appreciate that. That's really good to hear. So Andy's brother Nick and I were in the same grade, and we were in Cub Scouts together, and knew each other for many years. And yeah, I don't think I've seen your dad since I worked at Spanky's Roadhouse on Evans, and he and your mom came in for a burger, man. It was like, it's been that long since I've seen your folks. But,
oh man, that's going back.
Yeah. So way back. But the way I know Phil is, Phil was dating my babysitter, Colleen. When I swear to God, Phil dated my babysitter in high school. Yeah, the girl that my parents left me alone with. Shout out to Colleen Thompson. Shout out to the Thompsons in general, and Mina Thorkel. Love you. Yeah. So I just always kind of heard about Phil. Like Colleen would talk about Phil. She'd talk about her boyfriend Phil, probably more graphically than we ought to have heard about Phil at the time. But this is true. This is true. Phil introduced Colleen and her siblings, who I was friends with. Mina Thorkel. Shout out to Mina Thorkel.
Hi,
Mina. So Phil introduced Mina to Ween, and Mina then introduced me to Ween via Pure Guava, which didn't really sink in at the time. I was kind of like, this is noisy and weird and kind of not my thing.
It's Ween.
But then I found Chocolate and Cheese, and I fell in love with that album, and like since becoming a lifelong fan, like Pure Guava, like I now love that album.
I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. So but Phil was really responsible for my introduction to Ween. So, they're now my favorite band since the 7th grade, so I owe you for that. But
sir.
another
story about Mina. She let me dub my first copy of Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like I man, it was always, it's always somebody's older brother or sister, or older brother or sister's boyfriend that introduces you to all the cool bands. Logan's older brother is the one who introduced me to like most of the bands in general. Shout out to Marshall O'Connor out there. Love you, buddy. The very first person to get on the Discord server, by the way, Very first person, Marshall O'Connor on the Discord server.
Hey!
Yeah, it's really taken off. But I remember the first time I saw Phil out in the real world, and I had again only heard mythology from Colleen, is Mina and I ended up playing small parts as like kids in this production of MAME at Kennedy because we both went to School of the Arts. So we were middle school kids in 8th grade who would go over to Kennedy after school for rehearsal for MAME. And I remember seeing Phil on campus. And at the time, I remember the sideburns. And I remember a leather jacket with a Warlock Pinchers emblem on the back.
Yep. Oh, yep.
And Phil actually also is responsible for me getting introduced to the Warlock Pinchers. And I got in really big trouble at DSA summer school, same year that I did MAME at Kennedy, because I wrote the lyrics to Morrissey Rides a Cockhorse on a balloon and floated it out the window in one of my classes. And I just floated it outside, but it got found, and someone saw me do it, and I got in a lot of trouble.
That's amazing.
And that was like the first time I like really like came on the radar of the administration and faculty at DSA, was like writing Warlock Pinchers lyrics on that balloon. And they're like, fuck, amazing. We're going to have a problem with this kid.
Now we have to show this to Andrew Novick.
Yeah. Dude, we had him on the show, and it was one of the most fun episodes of the podcast we've ever done. Because that was
a really interesting episode.
It was such a good episode, man. Because I love Andrew. You know, I got kind of after hearing about Warlock Pinchers in that kind of back alley way through you, Phil, Marshall started getting Warlock Pinchers albums and showed them to us because he was also aware of it because he went to Kennedy, and they were kind of, they were a big deal at a lot of high schools at that time. But so we started listening to them a lot. So I've always had this admiration for their music, and was totally stoked that we got to be on their tribute album and whatnot, and got to know Andrew over the years, and just how much his personality differs from the motifs of the Warlock Pinchers when you meet him in real world, and just having him in the studio. Gordo couldn't do that week, so it was literally just me and him and a microphone.
I was very jealous.
It was
such a creative dude. So I had no idea he was that kind of like a just intense creative entity, man.
Yeah, man.
It was crazy.
Yeah. It was so fun, and he was just so excited and enthusiastic about everything, and he had enamel pins made of his 300th visit to Casa Bonita or some shit like that.
Yeah,
and he was
right there.
Dude, you want to talk about merchandising? Those guys fucking mastered it. And Andrew, as far as his contribution to the band, he literally just yelled and banged on a cymbal and backed up Scratchy. His main contribution to that band was merchandising and hype and PR. And Andrew, if you're watching and you're hearing this, we fucking need you right now, man, because a bunch of people are trying to figure out how to make this shit work. We need you, man.
For fucking sure.
Show us how to do it. Come up with a way to fucking make the
been one of the biggest promoters of music and art in Denver. Period. Hands down. That guy's just honestly one of my heroes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's beyond Warlock Pinchers. Warlock Pinchers are epic. There's no.
Oh, but they're just a footnote on his resume.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not a footnote. I mean, they're definitely a major bullet point, major highlight of his career, but they're such a small part of it. In terms of the amount of time that he spent doing it, because I want to say Warlock Pinchers from start to finish was only a few years, and if I remember correctly.
It's if Jimi Hendrix went on to be president.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh hey, speaking of president, I get to find out who won in the primary for my nut job make believe election that that I got to be part of. Do you guys know? Have you guys heard of the Unity 2020 project? Have you guys heard about that?
Heard a little bit about it.
I haven't.
But not a lot.
So I don't know if you guys know who Brett Weinstein is.
Yeah.
He's Eric Weinstein's brother. He's a evolutionary biologist, super
Yeah.
smart guy. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times. He was at the center of that big blow up at Evergreen State College that happened way back when, and like he's since kind of, he and his wife both, Heather Hyen, have both, who's also an incredibly brilliant woman, smarter than him in a lot of respects. They have started a podcast, and they've been doing these live streams since the lockdown started. But they also started this kind of grassroots movement to break the duopoly and come up with a center-left and center-right candidate who agree to co-govern. Like officially one will be called president and one will be called vice president, but they agree to co-govern. And like their whole vision is like save the republic in 2020, and they've added in a spoiler-proof measure where basically if at a certain point they can determine there's no clear road to the White House, they'll pull out and back Biden, or back the lesser of evils. But their whole thesis is like, fuck the lesser of two evils. Let's come up with something that actually works here. And they made an attempt to trend on Twitter during the Republican National Convention, and because of their attempts to trend a hashtag, and because of the fact that they created some new accounts to help spread around the information, Twitter actually suspended their account and shut them down.
Oh.
But the hashtag that they were using, which was, I think it was hashtag say no to Donald and Joe or something like that, that hashtag, because word got out that Twitter shut them down, has just been blowing up. So anyway, one of the things so their plan is that if they can get a groundswell of support, they're going to draft two candidates to basically take on the system that's been in place, the two-party system. And anyway, I participated in the primary election, and I voted for Tulsi Gabbard and Jocko Willink, and if the groundswell thing, I mean, it probably won't turn into anything. Look, I'm not an idiot. It probably won't turn into anything, but it's been a fun fantasy to participate in while all this shit is going on, and it's been fascinating just to kind of entertain the exercise and see a groundswell of people really talking about the silliness of having to choose between two septuagenarians in mental decline, essentially.
Yep.
It sounds like a way better bet than, well, literally the betting I'm doing on Predicted.
What we literally need to see happen in the next 4 years is a form of trust busting in the old style sense, but in a political fashion. We need both parties to split in two. We need to have the Republicans split into, a more centrist Republican and then the Tea Party Republican. We need the Democrats to split off into the centrist Democrats and the progressives. What we really need is a more parliamentary kind of system like you see in England. And that would serve us all a lot better.
I got to show you guys this this graph. I sent this to Ethan and the Hidden Tribes of America. Have you guys seen this Hidden Tribes of America graph? It's really, really fascinating stuff, man.
Yeah. You sent that the other day.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it up on the screen here real quick. So basically, you have your wings. So your extreme left wing makes up for 8% of the population, which is progressive activists. Deeply concerned with issues concerning equity, fairness, and America's direction today. They tend to be more secular, cosmopolitan, and highly engaged with social media. So that is who we're seeing for the most part in the social media spaces. Then on the other wing, you have the traditional conservatives that make up 19% of the country and devoted conservatives who make up 6% of the country. So let's see, traditional conservatives, 19% of the population tend to be religious, patriotic, and highly moralistic. They believe deeply in personal responsibility and self-reliance. And then devoted conservatives, 6% of the population are deeply engaged with politics and hold strident, uncompromising views. They feel that America is embattled and they perceive themselves as the last defenders of traditional values that are under threat. So these are the wings that are pretty much fighting with each other all the time. And then
so if they all split off into their own thing, we'd all be better off.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing that, like, with like Unity 2020 and like other more like centrist.
Well, there's a People's Party too. You should look into the People's Party.
People's Party.
If you're interested in this stuff, because like their whole plan is like combining independence, labor, and progressive organizations. So it's like that whole coalition,
right?
But everybody's feeling this, kind of 2/3 of people want another party in America,
right?
So like it's all a part of the same.
Well, and that's because, I mean, people don't realize it, but we all subscribe to the Team America theory. You got three types of people in the world. You got dicks, pussies, and assholes. You got pussies who think that everybody can just get along. You got dicks who just want to fuck all the time without thinking it through. And then you got your assholes who just want to shit all over everything.
Who are really malevolent people, like actually dangerous, evil, bad faith actors. This is the thing that like the denial of bad faith actors in all groups is terrifying to me.
Exactly.
Like, dude, there's bad faith actors in even the most altruistic of movements. There are some people that just want to see the world burn and also are into progressive politics. Like, there are, they are out there.
Well, you're always going to have your extremes, but traditionally throughout history, the left-wing extreme follows the right-wing extreme to counterbalance it. Here's a good example. For years and years and years, we had the KKK, but then along came Malcolm X and the Black Panthers to counter the KKK.
Right, the swing of the pendulum,
both
idea.
For a long time have been perceived as being radical. Although, to be honest, the Black Panthers, that when they first started, same thing with the Bloods. When they first started, they were doing food banks. They were
community advocacy groups.
Exactly.
Service,
they were community groups.
Well, but then groups reach a certain size, and
the radicals take over.
Yeah, they get corrupted by radicals. But now you guys can't see this up on the screen, but basically there's this category that shows the exhausted majority, which is made up of 11% of the population of traditional liberals, 15% of the population of passive liberals, 26% of the population that's politically disengaged, which is fucking hilarious. And then 15% of the population that is moderate. So right there is 30, 41 plus 26, so 67%. Yeah, 67% of the population. 67% of the population makes
pissed off.
Well, is basically feeling like terrified about getting fucking devoured by these wings, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm really glad, I'm glad we're getting to the point where a real common sense discussion is coming up about this. Like, in the times when I feel like my deepest dread, I just count my blessings that we live in the time where, like, there's so many conversations going on. They're so important. There are so many conversations going on with so many really intelligent people. And the fact that this information is out here gives me hope that if it doesn't happen now, maybe in my son's lifetime, maybe in my grandchildren's lifetime, they'll break this shit, man. Because it's... Did you guys see the stickers that Mutiny made?
Oh, the Biden
Which
ones.
The Biden ones.
Oh, the Bidens are
No, I
great.
haven't
It
seen those.
says Biden sucks. Vote for Biden.
It's one of my favorite things I've seen.
Dude,
ever.
but if that doesn't just summarize like the feeling that those of us in this exhausted majority are feeling, like it, I don't know what does, man. Like that was like the most painfully funny thing that I've seen. Or like you see the people that are flying the Buy Dawn flags outside of your house. It's like, dude, I see that, and then I see someone like Michael Moore going on and predicting a Trump win. Did you guys see that shit?
Oh, that's ridiculous. He's gotten crazier and crazier over time.
But he makes a very good point.
He did it last time.
He does.
He predicted it last time. He predicted it last time, and he makes a really good point. His point is that the enthusiasm, like he's like, don't underestimate the enthusiasm for this fucking guy. Like,
no, I'm not. I'm not.
And to me, looking at flags hanging outside of people's windows that say "Buy Dawn," or looking at a sticker that says "Biden sucks, vote Biden," like that. Doesn't, like, the desire to get Trump out of office, I don't know if that can compete with the enthusiasm of his base.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that we really need to think about and go, okay, we've got however many weeks left until this thing goes down. We got to pull a fucking rabbit out of our ass and come up with something that people can get excited about, or we're going to have to deal with 4 more years of this shit.
Make America gaff
bear
again.
in mind, we still have October to go through, and there's always that October surprise that comes around every time. And
October surprise, just like Mom used to make.
Exactly. I mean, that could be anything. Honestly, that could be new rape charges dropping on Trump. That could be.
Do you think that would actually stop him though?
They say we're actually know we're gonna lose, so we're just gonna drop everything on Trump now.
Dude,
I mean, and release
that's the
everything
thing though. It is like been established, like his like
Teflon
offenses. Don. His offenses are they've been established. It is well known. The shit that this dude has done, and his base does not give a fuck.
They don't give a single.
Well, that's because it's come out through sources that they don't trust. That's because it's come out through CNN and PBS and like
Jim
legitimate and Jim Gaffigan and legitimate sources. But when their own sources start to say it, like if Fox News were to start coming out and saying that, or OANN. Or any of these right-wing sources, Breitbart.
I mean, I've seen.
And if they got enough funding from Russia, I guarantee you
he gets criticized on the right too. He gets criticized on the right too. Not as much, but he does get criticized on the right too. Like generally, when I hear the right deal with, like, you hear a lot of pundits with Trump where. They won't outright defend him as being beyond reproach, but they'll like sneak in a little like, by the way, he did do this and this was pretty good. We have to give credit where credit's due. But it's not like he's amazing. He's the greatest. It's like that enthusiasm has died down a lot on the right too.
Impression there.
I don't think, dude, that his the enthusiasm of his base is going to be quelled by something like that. I think it's going to take these people in the middle, these people here, this exhausted majority, it's going to take us becoming aware of the existence of one another and say, there's got to be a better way, man. There's got to be a better way.
The center will not hold.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if the center formed a third party, and then you had, one farther left party, one farther right party, and a center party, that could fix a lot of problems.
I mean, you've got to, and don't get me wrong, you've got to have the extremes. They're the rudders of the ship. You got to have extremists.
What it boils down to is we need more than two. because, I mean, what you see happening in like England, for example, is, you know, you have one party that has the majority, but then other parties who might not always be aligned have to work together to get their things accomplished. You know, so you might have, you know, if a more centrist party is in charge, you might have like the equivalent of their Tea Party and the equivalent of their Progressive Party working together because they're like, okay, we both see this one weird thing where we might be able to work together and get it done and convince the majority. You know, so it forces groups to work together that wouldn't otherwise work together.
Well, and then now this is something that has happened in the UK and is also happening in the States. What concerns me is that you have this combination of a couple of things which, you know, and this is my completely unprofessional, you know, off the cuff analysis, you know, just based on some of the stuff that I've had coming in, but the left has fractured itself by the leaders of the left, the representatives of the left, trying to pander to this social media driven extreme 8% who is controlling all the advertising dollars and is controlling the course of social thought, because they're 8% of the population, but they're probably 80% of who's on social media. So you have the left is pretty much is alienating its own support base, and then you've got the people who are in by going super woke. The extreme left has gone super woke, and the establishment left is trying to satisfy them and keep them happy, which isn't going to work out. And then you've got all the people who are here in the center, this exhausted majority, are kind of covering their heads and keeping their mouths shut because they're afraid of getting fucking torn apart or losing their job by speaking up as to their nuanced feelings on the most hot button topics in the global consciousness. You know, either by their friends and family and colleagues on the extreme right or their friends and family and colleagues on the extreme left that are represented in social media and do nothing but spend all day fighting with people on Twitter.
Well, I mean, you know, okay, so I here we have a tale of two cities, right? On my dad's side of the family, I have two uncles. One of them is an uncle in Texas, and that guy is virtually QAnon wacky. But then I have
virtually QAnon wacky.
Yeah. But then I have my Uncle Jack.
That's how he identifies.
At one point was the city manager for Lone Tree. Okay, a very, very conservative guy. But when it came to Trump, he actually wrote in Paul Ryan. You know, so here you have, you know, kind of both parts of the right wing, and honestly, I don't know where my Uncle Jack sits now. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know where he wants to vote, but I'd really like to find out. I see my Uncle Jerry comment on my dad's posts on Facebook all the time, and there's a reason I don't respond to them, because then he'll start responding to mine.
Right, but see, you just illustrated my point here. There is an apprehension around having that conversation with the people who are more certain, you know, the people who are more certain and vitriolic and vehement about their perspectives, you know, are the people who are going to be willing to engage in battle and be willing to fight dirty in a public space. And most centered people, the 67% of us who are more centered and are able to see a more nuanced perspective, see what both sides have to offer, see the truth in what both sides have to say, are not going to be the type of people who want to engage in battle, especially in a public forum.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they're going to have fewer convictions because they're still making up their mind on more things. So I feel like this, you know, and Trump really appeals to a certain extreme, a small but very engaged extreme. And the left is trying to match the strategy. The Democrats are trying to match the strategy by trying to appeal to another kind of extreme. And I just don't think it's going to end well.
See, that's the thing is that you have the conservatives that are a small number of large groups of people. You have your religious nuts, your gun nuts, and your policy nuts. But on the Democrat side, you have a whole large number of small groups, and basically it's just everybody that the Republicans have pissed off.
Well, it's a bunch of small groups that also disagree widely
exactly.
on a variety of topics.
So trying to get anything done on the left-hand side is like herding cats because every little different segment has their own idea of what needs to be done first. On the Republican side, not so hard because the gun nuts have their thing, the religious nuts have their thing, and then there's like one or two other things that they can focus on. They're able to focus a lot more narrowly on what they want to get done.
Well, you saw it in the graphs. You saw it in the graphs during the primaries, and I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. But you saw it in the graphs in the primaries. If you looked to them side to side, like the right is all about structure and hierarchies and policies and stuff like that, right? So they know how to hedge their bets, and so during the primaries, you saw a giant red bar for Trump, and then. There was, I think, one other candidate who had this like little sliver of a turnout. Then you have over on the left, and you've got 12 fucking candidates, and they've all got a little piece of the pie, but like nobody is super thrilled about anyone all the way. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why, and that personally, that's why I'm really interested in this idea of like. Center left, center right, agreeing to co-govern, make decisions together. Not everyone's going to be happy, but that's kind of the point. That's kind of what compromise is all about,
It was built for Buttigieg.
Well, that's exactly.
yeah, totally.
Well, I was also a big Beto fan. I liked Beto a lot too.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I've been a fan of Tulsi Gabbard since I've heard her speak. I know she wasn't a favorite to a lot of people, but I fucking love Tulsi Gabbard. She and Bernie were my picks pretty much right out the gate. I kind of was leaning a little more towards Bernie just because I thought he had a better chance of maybe getting DNC establishment to give him a crack after learning their lesson in 2016. Of course, we all know how that turned out, but dude, I've been interested in Tulsi Gabbard from the get, man. She, you'd think we would want to put
a lot of sense. She says a lot of things that make a lot of sense. She does.
Have you guys followed Beto since he dropped out?
No.
I mean, basically he dropped out to, kind of heal his community after the El Paso shooting.
Right.
And the work that he's done since then has just been amazing, absolutely incredible. Very strong advocacy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he hasn't stopped. I mean, I still get daily emails from what used to be his campaign, just about updates or what's going on with his objectives. Which I think are still, to this day, very strong.
Well, see, and you wouldn't know that if you didn't follow him. You know what I mean? Because the conversation in the social media sphere it's more about talking shit and taking people down. And if someone goes away you don't you call them a bootlicker or a sellout or any other list of fucking really dehumanizing pejoratives to say about a public servant who's just like trying to do what they think is the best thing. I don't know, man.
And to bring it back around, I mean, like, honestly, like that's where your community comes in and trying to do things with your community and for your community and being involved and trying to solve problems on the ground right in front of you. It's like, I think if more people got involved with that,
bottom up,
they would see a little bit more of a way forward politically.
Right. And that's
sure.
been a benefit that we've seen
is-
come up over and over again with the pandemic is a lot of people are starting to turn to this because they're getting scared off of social media because they're tired of it, or it's not doing what they want them to do. People, I think I've been observing in my experience, I've been observing more of community engagement and more of this bottom up thinking, more like we've got to get our homeowners association in order. We've got this HOA is bullshit. Hey guys, I do. Andy, you had a point you wanted to finish, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up.
I just what I've seen of Beto after the campaign, I'd like to see him have a better run next time around. I really think that if he keeps up the work that he's been doing, he stands a good chance in the future.
Right. Yeah, man. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been a great conversation, man.
Hell yeah.
It's been really
awesome.
cool.
Definitely. It's been great. Thank you for having us.
It's been really nice. It's been an engaging conversation. And Gordo, we talked a little bit before we got on about the Alaskan wallpaper, and dude, I've been experiencing
straight
it
up
too.
Antarctica. It's Antarctica now.
No,
I've gone beyond Alaska.
I've been having similar feelings, man, and the thoughts about quitting everything every day, they're there. But getting together and doing this once a week, it really keeps the monsters at bay, man. And
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and talk to Andy and Phil and do this. It's super important. And what you guys are doing is super important, and I really, really super appreciate it.
On behalf of all bands, we appreciate what you guys do. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing more content come up. If you guys want to do a quick plug for whatever you got coming up, tell people where to look out for you, what your links are, and all that. Go ahead and drop it, Andy.
Yeah.
Next live broadcast is this coming Saturday at, are we doing 1 o'clock
Crap, I
again?
almost forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. Well, we were going to do it last week,
Yep.
but we couldn't because of the protests and couldn't get into.
And
the
actually, we might not be able to this Sunday, but we're Saturday, but we're still shooting for it anyways.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see.
And you guys are on season 3 of your web series, and where can people find your show?
In Denver City Limits, Comcast Channel 56, or of course we're always on YouTube.
Cool.
Which is CPRA Presents on that one.
CPRA Presents.
CPRA Presents on YouTube.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for everything you do. It's been nice to connect and have a conversation, and my heart feels like it grew 3 sizes today. So yeah, I appreciate having you guys on.
Absolutely.
Man. It's been great to talk.
Hell yeah.
Real quick.
Great to catch up.
Yeah, man, it's been really great. Let's finish out by giving a shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, our most venerable Nave and Aerial sponsor, Matula Plumbing. Matula! Shit rolls downhill. Don't be at the bottom. Your number 2 is our number 1 priority. Your shit is our bread and butter. Angie's List Super Service Award winner back in 2011. One's the only one that matters. After that, it got all fucking political like the end of this podcast episode. He'll wear the booties for you. Call the master of poopers if you need your shit piped out. Ride the porcelain throne. Yeah! Matula Plumbing. Mutiny Information Cafe. This is a Mutiny transmission. Mutiny Transmissions is a media service division of Mutiny Information Cafe. They are fucking thriving and surviving.
Fuck yeah.
I'm so fucking proud of you guys. Jim and Matt and the whole crew over there at Mutiny Information Cafe. Books, records, comics, eventually live events, podcasts, goodie boxes or the booty boxes that they're doing.
Boxes.
And
I don't know if they have any Tarani syrups in the booty boxes. I don't know about that.
But they do have the largest, or no one has a larger selection of Tarini syrups. No one. They got cereal.
Not even
they got
Star Schmucks.
Yeah, not even. Not even your local Italian sodery.
Oh.
But they do your Italian soda fountain.
I would love if those came back.
So Jim told me one of the
soda
things
jerky.
that's really been good for them is they're doing whole bean coffee. So go to mutinyinfocafe.com and check out their selection of coffees as well.
Gorlani.
Yeah. Surviving. Gorlani.
Sorry.
Gorlani syrups. I love it. See, that's the ticket, Gordo. That's the ticket. We got to use this. We got to use this podcast as a fucking life support system for Gorlani syrup. Flipside music on South Tacoma's Street. Life's short, make some noise. Largest selection of effects pedals in the region. I've been looking at some guitars. I've been looking at some amps. Man, Ike and Dylan and the guys, super duper helpful and informative staff. They know their shit. Check out their channel on YouTube and their series, What the FAQ. Go try some gear out, man. They'll let you try out anything. They know their shit. They'll
Check out this pedal I got from Flipside Music.
What did you get?
Look at this pedal.
Oh,
Look at this pedal.
dude,
This is the best. I have the best pedal of anyone anywhere because of
Dude.
Flipside Music.
Wow.
that's
Best.
bigger than both of your feet.
They call it the Star Destroyer.
They call it the Star Destroyer. Hey, shout out to our buddy Joey Klontz and Legend Klontz, who just went in and Legend got his first guitar. He got himself, I don't think he got a Strat. Joey was just like, he got a Fender. But I don't know what kind of Fender it was. But it was, yeah, man. Check them out. I cannot recommend them enough. Burn TV, this podcast and a bunch of other great content come to you from Burn TV Studios at an undisclosed location in the Rhino District of Denver, Colorado. It's 30-something in Delgany, so it's not totally undisclosed. We're around here somewhere. Anyway, we make the Nug Nation. Check that out at thenugnation.com. Look out for Hemp and History coming soon, Potty Talk with Bong Burgundy, and all our other great content. Burn TV. I don't know what our byline is.
Get burnt.
Get burnt. Burn TV. Get burnt. Burn TV. Burn one and watch TV.
Burnt, baby, burnt.
Burnt. This brought to you by Burntiv. Oh, Burn TV. See, that's why they do the letters in different fonts. That's why you do the letters in different fonts. I get it. It leads the eye. RocketSpace Rehearsal Studio, still the official rehearsal space of motherfucking Ruckus and a bunch of other great rock and roll bands. They are still in business. They are taking all the COVID precautions they need to. It is eerily quiet around there, so go down and make some noise, guys.
Granny Tweed might be darkening the door.
Oh, really?
Space.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Just make sure
Good
you
choice.
sanitize your shadow when you darken the door.
Lysol, man.
Lysol your shadow. Dude, one of the things I've been doing at tables is like walking up and offering people fresh disinfectant, like holding it over my arm like a pepper grinder. Some fresh ground Lysol for you, sir.
Purell 45.
Evergroove Studio.
Yes.
Yeah, man. They're hard at work on all the projects that need to be done up there. 70% solar powered up in the Black Mountain region of Evergreen. Really the most beautiful, amazing studio around. And they just make great shit. Our single, Acropolis Now, is getting ready to come out of there. And we got a whole bunch of other ones in the can that we're just going to be dribbling out to you little bit by little bit. Shout out to
Brad
our
just
tech.
mastered the Gordon Leadfoot's second album. So
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, excited to hear that, man. Excited to hear what you have been working on in your crazy man laboratory. Evergroove Studio. See him about your next project. And last but most, I already mentioned it, but I'll mention you guys 1,000,000 times. Shout out to our patrons at patreon.com/mfruckus. Man, even if you don't want to back us up, you should go to Patreon because there are a lot of artists who are being completely and totally sustained by patronage right now. Had we not set up that Patreon before all this shit went down a couple years ago, like had we not set that up, we wouldn't be able to do anything right now. Like we would just be not existing because we can't play gigs, man. And and you guys make the world go round, dude. Go on Patreon. Don't even worry about backing us up. I mean, it'd be awesome if you did. But become a patron to somebody, and then become a patron to somebody else. You know, we do 10% of our patronage goes to other people. You know, we backed Cabal when they were around. We back Mar.
Awesome.
Dude, we love fucking Mar. We back Suspect Press. In fact, I got a letter from Lonnie Allen at Suspect Press, says they're taking a break and he understands if we want to drop out. I was like, no, I just want to back whatever you do, man. Go back some people.
Bummer.
Help them out.
Suspect.
Yeah, they're just going to take a hiatus.
Understandable.
Yeah, they're not going away completely. Yeah, they're going to take a hiatus. They'll be back. Yeah, man. Once again, I want to say thank you to my guests, Andy and Phil from Colorado Punk Rock Army, and give a shout out one more time to your partner.
Lala.
Yeah, Lala. Yeah, shout out to Lala.
Love you, Lala.
We'll have to get her on the episode next time. And then, of course, my co-host Gordo. This has been the motherfucking podcast. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Appreciate you. And Star Wipe out.